Welcome back to another episode of ROC Boys Football. We are talking probably not even possibly, the hottest story in college football, Coach Prime at Colorado. Going to talk a little bit about recruiting targets, year 1, year 5 expectations, and really just how we think Coach Prime at Colorado is really going to shake out. Before we get into it, though, again, just want to say thank you guys for the support. This past weekend, we've been grinding, trying to cover high school recruiting, the transfer portal. It's been an absolute crazy couple of weeks in college football, and the support you guys have shown has absolutely been insane. I believe we gained like 200 subscribers over the weekend. That's all thanks to you guys and the support you guys have shown, and we just can't thank you enough. So if you guys do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Let us know in the comment section. Let's get a little debate going about Deion Sanders at Colorado, because I know my brother and I disagree a little bit about how this is going to pan out. But for right now, Dale, I'm going to kick it to you. Let's just start with your expectations for Coach Prime, Deion Sanders at Colorado.
This is like an interesting one because I don't know how you anchor your expectations, because he is truly the first of his
enigma,
like the first guy like himself to kind of rise into the college football rankings. I mean, everybody else you see came up the way through the coordinator routes and establish themselves at one school, go to a smaller school, dominate there, and then jump your way up to a big dog. I mean, not that Colorado's a big dog, but it's going right into the Power 5 from Jackson State, which, I mean, that's obviously a different program than major D1 football. And what he was able to do there in terms of getting the energy and turning the culture around so quickly is wildly impressive. And we'll see if he can take it up and do it to Colorado. But I mean, I don't know what to expect, because there's just been no one.
I think both extremes are in play. I think it could really just lead to a dumpster fire, and I think that's why programs like Auburn didn't really want to touch him. It's just a risky move. But I also think the sky's the limit for him. I mean, at the end of the day, college football is a talent acquisition business. You have to. It's not the X's and O's in college football. It's really the Jimmies and the Joes and the standard you set at a program. And Deion Sanders has shown that. I mean, he can attract a massive amount of talent. He did it at Jackson State. He's going to have the chance to do it at Colorado. But I think it all comes down to how well he can recruit, because when you look at why Colorado has struggled, there's a reason they were like the worst team in the Power 5 in Power 5 football last year. The talent that they were putting on the field was just such a gap between other Power 5 schools in the Pac-12. And he's going to have to really turn it over quickly. And I think the most important start to his rebuild is the 2023 portal.
And that's the big thing for these new college coaches, is like you can turn around a little quicker than in the past. Yeah. And that, I think that gives you the chance to hire a Deion Sanders. Whereas in the past, when you needed to like kind of go through it really slowly and grind your way up, I think you didn't want to take the risk, because you knew every turnaround was 10 years or something. Like, that's how long you would have needed to really get your program humming, like a Dabo Sweeney or a Stoops, like all these guys who really had to build a program up. Now I think you can do it much quicker, obviously, because you can get proven college talent pretty easily, because without the punishment of the 1-year rule, guys are leaving left and right. So it does give him a built-in advantage for what he's going to try to essentially do it.
And Lincoln Riley kind of gave you the blueprint last year. I mean, Lincoln Riley came into a USC program that was decimated, had no talent, really no players on the roster. And he brought in, I believe it was well over 20 transfers that came in. And a lot of those guys were impact dudes. Caleb Williams, Jordan Addison, Mario Williams, like legit ball players. This year, you look at the transfer portal, there are a lot of very, very good college football players in the portal. And Deion Sanders, I wouldn't be surprised if Deion Sanders goes to the portal and grabs 30 to 35 dudes. And that's
one thing I'd ask you, though, is he is starting. I feel like, do you think it matters that he's essentially a week behind where every other coach was from last year? Because obviously a Lincoln Riley, a Brian Kelly, they all pretty much left their teams mid-season. They didn't coach their bowl. They started putting their staff together in November. And I'm guessing, frankly, for both of them, I'm pretty sure they were doing it much earlier than that. I'm pretty sure they were out of
I do think it matters. That being said, people knew he was going to Colorado for a couple weeks now, and now it's there's guys lining up to play for him. I mean, you just look at Twitter, you look at some of the top names in the portal, they're tweeting at Coach Prime. There is a line out the door for guys that want to go play for Coach Prime in Colorado. I think the bigger question is how many of those guys he can land and how competitive he can be year one, year two, because I mean, part of the appeal to play for Coach Prime is he's a winner. Wherever he's gone, I mean, he started winning pretty much immediately at Jackson State. That attracted talent. I think it's going to be very important for him to win early, and that's why I think it's so important for him to kind of dominate the 2023 transfer portal, because if this team stands a chance at being competitive, Deion Sanders isn't going to scheme up a great offense or a great defense and out-coach the talent on the other Pac-12 teams. He's going to have a talented roster, and that means he's going to have to dominate the 2023 transfer portal where he's getting guys that have proven they can play college football at the highest level to go play for him at Colorado. He's not going to be able to build it from the high school ranks with 18-year-old kids. This is kind of a massive 2 months, couple weeks. I mean, you'll have a chance to land guys now, and you'll have a chance to land guys before the summer after spring football ends. And he's going to have to dominate both of those trails.
Yeah, and frankly, in his early days, I think a big chunk of that weight's going to fall on Shadeur Sanders at the end of the day, because you look at these teams that were able to turn it around. I mean, USC, obviously. I mean, Caleb Williams is like the best player I've ever seen, period. And that's why USC was really good. But if you look at the rest of that USC team, there's a whole lot of work that needs to be done. I mean, that defense was as bad of a defense as I think I've ever seen in major college football. The rest of the team, I think, was good. Their offense, they had skill, but
that's what you can do at the college football level. Like, if you have a good quarterback and some playmaking wide receivers, you can have a good offense. And
you need to be great, because then you look on the other hand. I mean, Dylan Gabriel is a good college quarterback, but he's not great in that Oklahoma team, although fairly talented to an extent. They really struggled, and I think it is just hard to turn a program around without a quarterback who's playing at an extraordinarily high level. I guess
that's a really interesting take, because if there is like a massive miscalculation that I think Coach Prime has had during his first 2 weeks at Colorado, 1 week at Colorado officially, has been naming his son quarterback one before he even hit the transfer portal. I mean, when he took his press conference, he said, "You're looking at quarterback one right here." Who's going to want to come play quarterback for you outside of Shadeur Sanders now? And so you have two questions. One, is Shadeur Sanders that dude? He was a solid 4-star rank, was committed to FAU, ended up following his dad to Jackson State, played really well at Jackson State, but the jump from play level is going to be exponential at Colorado.
And he's going to go from being on a team that was so much more talented than most of the teams they played to a team that, unless Deion can work an absolute miracle in the portal,
might be
going to be quite a bit less talented than I think the USCs, than the Washington, than the Oregon. So that, again, like what you kind of mentioned, he's going to need to play really good football early on for them, because you just kind of have a sense, most of these transfers do, that you're going to be a little light everywhere else. Like up front, I'm guessing they're going to be light. And
he put all his eggs in one basket. And my biggest concern is what quarterback, whether it's through the portal or a high school kid, is going to say, "I want to go play. I'm not even going to get a chance to start until Sanders is gone." And whether he's maybe just not as good as you thought, or knock on wood, but if he goes down with injury, like, there's a good chance that you're like trotting out either a true freshman or like a walk-on next year. Because I don't really know many college football players that are going to want to go play for a coach that they know they're not even going to get a fair shot at starting. I mean,
especially now, because the young guys want to play. Like, the freshmen don't come in here to sit the bench anymore. That's for sure.
You look at Dante Moore, decommits from Oregon, I think potentially because he wanted to start year one, and Bo Nix announced he's coming back. Yep. I think that was a miscalculation, and we talked about how important it is to have some sort of success in the first couple of years. If Shadeur Sanders isn't that dude, it's really hard to see that program.
And that's the thing, is I don't think the Deion model is going to work well if they don't start winning pretty quickly, like within the first 2 years. Because I think the mystique wears off once you see a team go 4-8 and 4-8, if that's how it so shapes
Yeah,
out.
the sunglasses and the slick sayings. Probably, like, again, we talk about it with Russell Wilson. Like, Russell Wilson can act all he wants at Seattle like a goofball. If you're winning, you're making playoffs, you're winning Super Bowls, nobody cares.
And
Once
even
you get
like
to
the
Denver,
Gardner Minshew, like the Minshew mania, like it comes in for a second, they're winning a couple games, and people are like riding with him a little bit, and then
you're like, yeah,
the wheels fall off. Oh, this guy's he stinks, and then again, I just think these college players, like you can't be on 4-8 teams if you want to be a first round pick for the most part. So I get that NIL matters, sponsorships matter, but like you got to be able to put these guys in the pros. They got to be going high picks. That's ultimately why guys are choosing to go to Clemson, choosing to go to Alabama and Ohio State, and these programs that have been doing it for 10 plus years. So again, my thing is if it doesn't work with Shadeur and this team doesn't kind of take off quickly, that'll make me a little concerned. Not to say that he can't do it, because again, he is such a magnetic personality. I
oh
think
yeah,
he's
sign me
proven
up to play for him. If I was a stud
yeah,
at football in 18 and not 155 pounds, 5'7", but I would go play for him if I was sick.
exactly. So that's like the point is I'm not saying they can't win or rebound if they don't start kind of hot, but I do think in this day and age you want to start hot. I think you look at Miami. I think they better turn it around, or you're going to start seeing that program. I mean, not play up to what they're recruiting like, because I just don't think they have 3 years of playing 4-8 football in Colorado.
Kind of saw it at Texas A&M. Like you hit all with those guys, and then you go 5-7, and suddenly like hey, I don't know if I want to be in College Station anymore if we're putting that product on the field. And a bunch of those guys hit the portal. Deion Sanders came to Colorado at a perfect time for him, though. Like with this element of the transfer portal, how deep it is, and the potential to legit add 30 really good football players to your roster through the portal is massive. Deion Sanders, I think, is certainly going to need to do that if they want to be competitive. Again, this team needs significant talent increase. But I want to ask you, one of the worst teams in the Power 5 last year, what do you think their record is going to be year one? And then give me like a 5-year forecast here.
See, for year one, I almost think we need 3 more weeks, because like if he starts missing on the Travis Hunters and the Kevin Coleman's, and then the other guys in the portal who are kind of hinting they want to go to Colorado, if he doesn't start converting on those commitments, I just don't think they're going to be deep enough. And yes, there is a chance you got your quarterback. That's obvious, and that's super important. But I still think they're going to need to start filling that roster. And if he can't prove that he can keep guys like Travis Hunter on board, that would probably make me a little worried, just because I mean that's a guy he's recruited. Now on the other hand, I feel like he's recruited the whole country pretty well already. I think you saw Jackson State in top 10s and top 5s of guys who you would have never seen Jackson State in. And I think that's going to help him, because he's still got the relationships. He knows these kids. I think he should do well in the portal. So I'm going to say they're going to be, I think maybe around the 500 mark is.
I think that's a perfect goal. If you're a Colorado fan, 6-6. Don't expect to go win a national championship. That is, I mean, this team really needs some help. But if you show progress year one, even if it's like a 5-7 and you're competitive, I think that's okay. You just can't be like 2-10, 3-9. You can't be real bad, because then I think it starts being like, was this the right move? People start asking questions. If you show progress, I think that's really all you want in year one, year two, is just showing that this team can be more competitive than they have been the last couple of years, because it has been ugly. And then year 5,
they just have so much to fill in. I mean, you look at up front, like they got to probably get 5 new guys. I don't think any of them he wants back starting, and he kind of made that pretty clear in his opening presser.
And depth is going to be a concern. Just like Lincoln Riley at USC is like, when you have to fill in like a whole entire roster, like there's going to be spots out of your depth chart that are going to be light. And so we know that's going to be a concern. And after 3 years, that depth should look a lot better when he gets through the high school recruiting and can kind of build a full depth chart. Because realistically, he's not going to build a full depth chart through 1 year in the portal, but he can get some playmakers to be competitive. And then year 5, I mean, the sky is the limit for Coach Sanders. I mean, he could be at a massive school in 5 years, or he could be not coaching football. I mean, again, at the end of the day, I said it to start and I'll probably say it to end. College football is about talent acquisition. Coach Sanders, if he can acquire the talent that he showed he could acquire at Jackson State and kind of continue that at the Power 5 level at Colorado, this team could be extremely special in 5 years. I mean,
and that's the thing. That's kind of what I think. If he, because even at Jackson State, he was in the running for guys who I think just weren't ready to make the leap into, because that is a risk. Obviously, it is harder to go pro out of that type of college when you're not playing the same competition as guys at Colorado. He's going to have the chance to play the competition he needs to play, and his guys will need to play to go pro. So you'd like to think that the talent can crank up a bit. I think the one issue, the one unknown is we just don't know that much about him as a coach. I think, again, you think of the recent guys who moved, the Brian Kellys, the Dan Lannings, the Lincoln Rileys. They all kind of rose up through big colleges and were coaching as big coordinators at big programs. And so you kind of knew, at least the coaches thought there was a high level of expertise. Deion's done it a very different way. He's done it a way only he could do it. And a guy of his stature and magnetism and charisma and all those things that make him who he is, he's done it differently. So it is, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how
to tell. It truly is impossible to tell what's going to happen. That being said, I'm going to watch probably 12 Colorado Buffalo football games, and I watched 0 for the last 5 years. Like I'm going to have my eyeballs. I think everyone's going to have their eyeballs on this Colorado team. Believe week 1 Nebraska, that's going to be just an absolutely
unbelievable,
phenomenal game. Sign me up for that one. We'll definitely be breaking that one down in 8 months. So stay tuned for that. But again, to close out, we just want to say thank you guys again. Let us know in the comment section what you guys think. Honestly, probably one of the things that has my brain in the pretzel the most. Like, I really don't know how this is going to work out. Let us know in the comment section what you guys think. And again, if you enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We really do appreciate the support. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.